When it comes to fashion design, there is no way that you don't have to deal with sourcing. So you have to get your fabrics, you have to get your buttons and zips and whatsoever. And in this video, I will talk about some best practice examples and also about some tips and tricks how your sourcing can be better and not as challenging as it might seem. And that's a big deal for a lot of fashion designers, especially when you're independent, because sometimes it's also a matter of budget and a matter of where to focus first. So let's jump into the video. So here are my 3 best tips on how your sourcing is going to be better, more effective, and how you will create a better collection with your things that you bought. So number 1 is, and this is something a lot of designers, especially when they're beginning, doing wrong. They think it's all about just the artistic vision. It's all about what they think is good, and then they end up with collections and piles of fashion items that nobody wants to buy. So pro tip number 1 is always use user-centered approach. Now, what do I mean by that? You have to put your user and your center of your attention. This is mainly done by obviously research and observation, what your user really wants and where your ideal customer is grabbing the items in your store or in your shop. So a very useful tip when it comes to that is think of the perspective of your ideal client. So an ideal client will not have a piece of fabric that he will watch for hours and is this fabric good, is it not good, and so on. So you have to make quick decisions when it comes to fabric sourcing, for example. So normally a user comes into the shop, he sees the rack and then he spots one thing. This only leads like some seconds. They will not obviously watch the fabric in very detail, so have a quick approach. So when you get, for example, samples or swatches from fabric companies, really look at them quickly the first time you look at them and make a pre-selection of, I don't know, how many fabrics you need. And always try to see it as, okay, is it good? Is it good? If you spot too long on one fabric, then it's probably the wrong one. You should not buy it. So a quick decision making, like if you enter a store and you go through a rack of garments and then you spot one. So this should be your approach. So it's very user-centered, very what your user is going to watch and how your user is going to consume also the product. The second thing is before you source, make yourself, obviously it would be the best thing if you have every single garment that you want already in mind, and then you just need to find the right fabric for it, which is obviously not very possible in many cases. So you should make like a list of your product groups. For example, you have a product group of jersey wear, you have a product group of jackets and a product group of dresses, if you do dresses, for example. And then you also, when you source and you buy, put it in these groups. So it very often is the case that you want to design a special product like a jacket and you don't have a jacket fabric because while you're sourcing, you only focused on this very beautiful silk fabrics for dresses. So have your product groups ready before sourcing. This is it doesn't have to be the detailed dress and what's the sleeve and what's the detail. the more important thing is that you have your product groups ready, that you know exactly what you are searching for. And of course, the most important thing is have your budgeting ready. You really need to know how much you can spend on your material. This is super important. You have to know it on the cent, and it can be very expensive. So have to know how much you can spend. And second thing is communication with the companies. What do I mean by that? Maybe there is a stock service, for example, they have. Some companies have stock services. So stock service is qualities that are always on stock or most of the time on stock that can be shipped right away. They come normally with a surcharge, but then you can order like a smaller quantity. Maybe that's a big advantage for you. So when it comes to this horrible word MOQ, so minimum order quantity, which we all fear in the fashion world, is how much meters you have to buy from one fabric, for example. Can be range from 100 to 300 meters. So this is a lot sometimes, but think of that. Maybe you can make it as a standard in your collection and you need more, or you can make more garments or more product groups with this special fabric. So always keep in mind, maybe it's better to order 100 meter and you have it longer and you can use it more and pay for the meter less, which makes your garment obviously cheaper, than to buy a really expensive fabric, which you only can make like some pieces and the end product is much more expensive then. So this is very, very important. And communication. For example, I have a fabric company where I source fashion fabrics since, I don't know, 15 years now. And we have a good conversation always. And in the last collection, I saw some fabrics that I liked, but they were very expensive. So I talked to them and said, okay, listen, I love the fabrics. I will order a small quantity. And I saw something that would be super for a winter season, for example. Could you reserve it please for me and ship it later, and so on and so on. This is so always inform them or keep a conversation, which is very important. So I highly stress you that you have a good conversation with the companies you're sourcing for. And that's my short video about sourcing and my ideas about sourcing. If you have any more questions, please do not hesitate. Write me questions. I love to read them. I love to answer them. I love to help you. So if fashion design, being self-employed as a fashion designer, I'm that since nearly 18 years now. So I know what I'm talking about. Subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next video.